When the maid discovers the shocking truth, he owns the hotel. You won't believe what happens next. The chandelier's crystals clinked, casting eerie shadows that danced across the polished marble floor. The air weighed thick with secrets, and every whispered conversation seemed to linger like smoke in the vast lobby of the Grand Solstice Hotel. The old building was magnificent, yes, but it held an atmosphere, a kind of sinister charm that made even the most confident guest glance over their shoulder. Maria, a young maid with tired eyes and a quick laugh, wandered the hallways humming a forgotten tune. Today, though, her heart raced. She had stumbled upon something strange, something that felt off about Mr. Harrington, the seemingly harmless owner who walked like a shadow. His presence loomed behind the reception desk, always calm, his lips curled in an unnerving smile. But that smile didn't reach his eyes. No, those cold, dark eyes spoke a different language, one of secrets and hidden fears. Maria's curiosity soon turned electric when she overheard a conversation that sent chills down her spine. Guests at the bar murmured about missing persons in the area, people who had vanished without a trace. A woman leaned in close, her voice trembling. "They say he knows more than he lets on," she whispered, her gaze darting nervously towards Mr. Harrington. With every sweep of her cloth across the grand tables, Maria felt the tension creep closer, like a predator stalking its prey. She noticed how Mr. Harrington would occasionally vanish for hours, returning with a different air about him, as if he carried the weight of the world on those bony shoulders. The secrets wrapped around him like an old, tattered cloak. Before we continue, I need to give you an important heads up. Many subscribers have reported that YouTube unsubscribed them without warning. Take a quick second to check the red button below to make sure you're still subscribed to the channel. I'd hate for you to miss any of the exclusive content coming soon. And while you're there, smash that like button, it really helps me out with the algorithm. Oh, and tell me in the comments, which city are you watching from? I love getting to know every amazing person who's part of this community. Your participation makes all the difference. Let's connect. And then it happened. Maria approached the basement door, half hidden behind thick foliage. She had always felt an odd pull towards it, like an unseen force compelling her to uncover whatever lay behind it. With a deep breath that felt like a gulp of icy water, she turned the knob. It creaked open, revealing darkness so thick it felt tangible. A narrow staircase spiraled downwards, calling her name. Deep in her gut, a voice screamed that she should turn back. But curiosity overpowered the fear. As she began her descent, the air grew humid, almost heavy with anticipation. The next step was a leap into the unknown. What waited at the bottom? Would she find the truth behind Mr. Harrington? Or would she fall into a darkness from which there was no return? The staircase spiraled down into the abyss, each step creaking under Maria's weight like the lament of a forgotten spirit. She gripped the handrail as her heart raced, thudding loudly in her ears. Darkness enveloped her, warm and cloying, wrapping around her like a thick blanket that stifled rational thought. With every step further down, the shimmering world of the lobby above faded away, replaced by the ominous silence of the hotel's underbelly. What could possibly await her below? Doubt flickered, but determination blazed in her chest. This wasn't just curiosity anymore, it was a quest for truth. She had to know if the whispers, those haunting murmurs of the missing, were tied to the man who haunted her every shift. As she reached the bottom, a dim light flickered on. There it was, an old storage room, strewn with cobwebs and layers of dust that hadn't been disturbed in ages. Boxes were piled haphazardly, each one a silent witness to the secrets of the past. The air smelled damp and musty, mingling with something else, a metallic tang that made her stomach churn. Maria stepped inside, her fingers brushing the surface of a nearby box. Instinctively, she pulled it open, revealing a stash of outdated brochures and piles of faded hotel documents. But interspersed among them were photographs, faded images of guests, smiling and carefree, captured in moments long gone. What sent a wave of ice down her spine were the familiar faces that matched the whispers, faces of the missing. Gasping, Maria stumbled backward as the realization struck like lightning. Each missing person's photograph was paired with a date, the last one marked years ago. She noticed one photo in particular. It was dated just days before the last disappearance, and there in the corner, standing among the guests, was Mr. Harrington himself. He wore that unnerving smile, but it seemed sharper somehow, more predatory, and then, out of the corner of her eye, she saw something shift. A shadow moved against the far wall, and her heart dropped. Was someone else down here? Slowly, she turned her head, her breath hitching. The liquid darkness pooled into the form of a figure, tall and menacing, slipping just beyond the edge of the flickering light. Maria's instincts screamed for her to run, but her legs were rooted in place, paralyzed by shock. Who goes there? A chilling voice cut through the silence like a knife. It belonged to Mr. Harrington. Her heart thundered in her chest. What was he doing here? The air thickened with tension, weighing her down like an anchor. She opened her mouth, ready to run or scream, or maybe both, but all that emerged was a strangled whisper. I was just cleaning. The flickering light cast eerie shadows on his face, transforming that disarming smile into something grotesque. He stepped into the light, revealing a darkness in his eyes that pierced right through her. Cleaning? Or snooping? Maria's blood ran cold. In that moment, fear and desperation gripped her. The truth was more horrifying than she ever imagined, and she stood at the precipice of it. Would he let her walk away, or would she join the ranks of the vanished? Before she could react, the basement door slammed shut behind her with a deafening bang. The room plunged into darkness. A sinister laugh echoed off the walls. Maria wasn't just facing Mr. Harrington, she was looking into the abyss, and it was staring back. What would she do in that moment of truth? Would she fight, or would she let fear consume her? And as the shadows closed in, what other hidden horrors lay beyond this chamber of secrets? Maria's heart raced, thumping in her ears like a war drum. Darkness engulfed her, swallowing the flickering light that betrayed her position. Sweat dripped down her spine, cold and clammy, while the laughter of Mr. Harrington echoed through the enclosed space, twisting in her gut like a knife. She fought the urge to scream, clenching her jaw until it hurt, trying to push down the tide of panic threatening to drown her. He advanced toward her, his silhouette gaining clarity in the dim light. You shouldn't have come here, Maria, he said, the smoothness of his voice laced with something sinister. Curiosity can be a dangerous beast. With sheer instinct, she darted sideways, forcing her feet into motion even as dread paralyzed her thoughts. The shadows seemed to stretch and reach for her, but she had to escape. She flung herself toward a stack of boxes, her breath coming in short gasps. She stumbled but regained her footing, desperation coursing through her veins. I can help you, you know. Harrington's voice hissed through the darkness. You just have to understand. This place it remembers. It demands respect. Those who don't give it well, they cease to exist. Pausing behind a towering stack of boxes, Maria fumbled for a way out. A glint caught her eye, a metal pipe protruding from the wall. Maybe she could use it. But the thought of confronting Harrington with anything else but sheer will made her stomach twist. You see, he continued, sauntering closer. Every guest leaves a piece of themselves here, and many cannot let go. The missing, they are part of the fabric of this hotel. He stopped, his face mere inches from hers as she peered around the boxes. They are, well, let us say they are elements of my collection. The implication sent a chill like ice water through her body. Collection? He was talking about the missing people like they were trophies, not lives. Maria could feel a surge of anger rising against the wave of fear. Your collection? So you're the one who, sure. He held up a finger to his lips, smirking. Don't wake the spirits. That's when she noticed it. A door behind him, something she hadn't seen before, slightly ajar. The dim light glimmered briefly from within, beckoning her to escape. This place is bigger than you can comprehend, he said, his tone shifting from playful to dangerous. You don't know what you're playing with. Maria seized the moment. In a single sprint, she dashed toward the door. She made it into the frame, but as she turned back, he lunged for her, fingers outstretched like talons. She barely managed to slam the door shut, locking it just as he slammed into it from the other side. The impact rattled her teeth, and she stumbled backward. "You cannot run from the truth," he shouted, fury dripping from each word, heart racing and palms slick with sweat. She took in her surroundings. The narrow hallway was dimly lit, its concrete walls seemingly closing in around her. What lay ahead? She had no idea. But one thing was certain: Harrington was coming for her. She needed to find a way out, and fast. Her thoughts whirled like a storm, but she couldn't let fear overtake her. Not now. Not when she was so close to unraveling the mystery. As she turned to venture into the unknown, her mind raced. Would this lead her to a way out? Or deeper into Harrington's web of secrets? The echoes of his voice still haunted her ears: "You cannot run from the truth." With each hurried step down the narrow hallway, the air grew colder, the shadows darker. What awaited her beyond the next door? Would it hold the answers or even more questions? And could she truly escape the monster hiding within a harmless smile? The door behind her rattled, each tremor a reminder of how close he was. Maria's heart thudded violently against her ribcage as she stumbled down the hallway, urging herself to move faster, driven by the primal need to survive. The dim flickering of the overhead lights cast erratic shadows, her imagination playing tricks on her, morphing them into dark, grasping hands. She glanced back, nerves on fire, half expecting Harrington to burst through at any moment. The adrenaline coursed through her, sharpening her senses. The corridor stretched before her, endless and foreboding. Glancing right, she spotted another door slightly ajar. Should she hide? Or risk the chaos that lay behind it? Against her better judgment, she veered toward the nearby door. It opened with a creak, revealing a cramped utility room filled with abandoned cleaning supplies and dusty equipment. Maria ducked inside, slamming the door behind her. The room was shadowy and cramped, but it provided a momentary sanctuary. She pressed her back against the cool metal, desperate for a moment's reprieve. The loud thud of Harrington's fists on the door echoed through the walls, sending jolts of fear through her spine. She bit down on her lip to suppress the whimper threatening to escape. The dim light flickered again, and she turned to scan the room. A large mop leaned against the wall, a bucket lay toppled, and in the corner an old, rusty sword. Maria hesitated. She didn't want to fight. All she wanted was to escape this living nightmare. Yet, the sword represented something. She needed the ability to stand up to him. Tentatively, she approached it, her pulse racing as she reached out. A sudden noise jolted her from her thoughts. Harrington's voice seeped through the door, calm yet laced with malice. "You think you're safe? This hotel has a way of keeping its secrets, Maria. You can't hide from the truth." His words clawed at her resolve. What truth? What kind of monster was he? She had to maintain her composure. With trembling hands, she picked up the sword, its blade heavy but reassuring. "Every door you open, every choice you make leads to a revelation," he continued, his voice smooth and sinister. "Face it now, or face it later. Either way, you will know what I have constructed here." Shivers danced down her arms. What could he mean by constructed? Was this whole hotel a web of his creation? Memories of the missing guests flashed through her mind, their faces, their voices, now echoing with the implications of Harrington's words. Just then, the door rattled again. Annoyed by her delay, Harrington was moving closer, relentless in his pursuit. Her hiding spot wouldn't last long. Maria strained to listen. Was there another way out? She scanned the cluttered room, her gaze landing on a small window near the ceiling. With a burst of determination, she leaped toward it, just as his furious shouts reverberated louder. "Maria! You've no idea what happens if you leave. You belong here." The word stung, igniting a fire within her. Belong? No way in hell. She climbed onto a shelving unit, scrambling to reach for the window. It was her only chance. As she flung the window open, cold night air filled the room, fresh but laced with danger. Taking a deep breath, she hoisted herself through, the sword clattering out of reach. She tumbled onto the ground outside, the breaking chill biting at her skin. Maria picked herself up, scanning her surroundings, adrenaline fueling her. What lay beyond the walls of this cursed hotel? Would she find safety or more horrors waiting for her? She could already hear him breaking through the door inside. Harrington's shadow loomed over her mind, both a threat and a sinister curiosity. There was no turning back. With every step she took away from the building, the question lingered: what was the true cost of uncovering his secrets? The air outside was heavy with the scent of damp earth and pine, a contrast to the stale confines of the hotel. Maria's breath came in quick bursts, her lungs icy in the night. She took a cautious step away from the building, listening intently for Harrington's footsteps. The wind whispered secrets through the trees, but there was no sign of life, only the ominous echo of her own heart. A frantic search for escape began. She sought the outline of a path, something to guide her away from the nightmare that had been her reality for so long. The shadows engulfed her, stretching and curling like fingers ready to pull her back. With each step, dread coiled tightly in her gut. Was she truly free, or had she just stepped into another trap? Maria noticed an old stone pathway snaking through a garden overgrown with weeds, each stone slick with moisture. It beckoned her, promising salvation. She hesitated for a heartbeat, then pressed on, driven by desperation. The soft crunch of gravel underfoot was swallowed by the night, swallowed by uncertainty. Suddenly, a rustling sound broke through the eerie silence. Her heart pounded louder. She glanced behind her. The hotel loomed, its dark windows watching her every move. Were the souls trapped inside, or was that just her imagination? Sweat trickled down her back, mixing with the chill as the creepy doubt seeped into her. Running 1T save you forever. Harrington's voice rang, sharp and taunting. The sheer malice wrapped around her like a noose. She didn't dare look back. Just keep moving. As she rounded a corner, she spotted a dilapidated old shed. Its door hung slightly ajar, inviting yet foreboding. Instinct pulled her toward it. Maybe it was better to hide than to keep running, at least for now. She ducked inside, half expecting someone to pounce. The scent of rotting wood filled her nostrils as the door creaked shut behind her. Inside, darkness cloaked the corners. As her eyes adjusted, she saw gardening tools, pots stacked on one another, and cobwebs that had claimed ownership. No sign of life. It felt like a tomb, but she felt a twinge of relief that it was a hiding spot. That eye in the back, however, something caught her eye. A wooden trunk sat partially hidden by a pile of rags. Curiosity overwhelmed her and she moved toward it, heart racing with a mix of trepidation and excitement. What could it contain? Could it be something that would help her confront Harrington once and for all? With trembling fingers, she undid the rusty latch and lifted the heavy lid. Inside lay clothing old, tattered, but oddly elegant. She pulled out a shimmering dress, a deep red that seemed to glow even in the dim light. But as Maria's fingers brushed against the fabric, the air shifted, and suddenly she was struck by a vivid memory. Faces, familiar yet foreign, flitted by her mind. Guests. They had worn such clothes, laughter echoing in the hallways. But then their expressions twisted in fear, replaced by those of horror. Unseen hands pulling them into the abyss of Harrington's web. A soft sound at the entrance of the shed made Maria jump. She turned rigid, every muscle tensed. The door creaked open a crack. It was him, Harrington's silhouette dark against the moonlight. Did you really think you could escape? The game has just begun. His tone dripped with sadistic pleasure, fueling her fear. Maria stumbled backward, heart racing. She felt trapped. The only way out was to confront the man who had become her worst nightmare. The truth loomed over her like a storm cloud, dark and heavy. What had she gotten herself into? Face what I've built, Maria. The truth is waiting for you, he insisted, his voice an icy chill. She realized the true horror wasn't just in his pursuit, but in whatever truth he was determined to reveal. Maria took a deep breath, stealing herself. The moment had come, but would she accept the cost? Would she dare uncover the secrets hidden within the hotel walls? As she stood facing him, the choice flickering in her gut like a flame, she remembered the sword she left behind. Had she sacrificed her chance at a fight? The shadows danced around them, waiting with bated breath. What horrific secret lay ahead, and could she survive the truth of Harrington's designs? The air crackled with tension, pinching at Maria's chest. She thought of running, about darting past Harrington and bursting into the night. But where would she go? The hotel's dark grip was everywhere. As his silhouette shifted, she caught a glimpse of his twisted smile, a promise of the chaos to come. "Join me, Maria," he prodded, stepping forward with a predatory grace. "You and I, we can build something magnificent. Or—" he tilted his head, raising an eyebrow. "Or, you can stay here and let the darkness consume you." A part of her recoiled, and yet there was an undeniable curiosity gnawing at her. What could he possibly mean? The secrets hidden behind those oppressive hotel walls had never felt more suffocating. The memories of the guests, their laughter echoing like ghosts, hung heavy in the air. Why? Maria's voice trembled, but she couldn't hide the passion rising within her. "What are you after? You chose to keep all this for yourself, to trap them, to trap me." "Ah, the bravest of hearts has finally awoken," Harrington replied, moving closer, shadows stretching and trembling. "I've offered you a chance for power. With knowledge comes freedom. You could learn how to reclaim this place from the clutches of despair. We're more alike than you think." Maria felt bile rise in her throat. The notion that she could ever be like him was grotesque. But another part of her, confused and desperate, considered it. With the hotel creaking as if alive, she heard the whispers of the trapped souls, begging for release. Was it worth it? The power to intervene, or worse, become what Harrington had become. In that suffocating moment, she clutched the red dress tighter, its fabric felt almost alive against her skin. It pulsed with the forgotten energy of those it once adorned. "What are you doing with them?" she gasped, her breath quickening. Are they still here?" "Ah, yes. The luxury of being eternal," he replied, a glimmer of madness dancing in his eyes. "They never left, Maria. This hotel is more than bricks and mortar. It's a sanctuary and a prison, all in one. The souls you seek, those who once inhabited this beautiful realm, are now part of the very fabric of its being." She stumbled backward, words swirling in her mind like a tornado. "You're a monster!" she cried out, but even as she uttered it, doubt seeped in. The influence he had wielded with his charm was intoxicating. Could she bear the weight of the truth? Monster? Or visionary? Harrington pressed, his voice smooth like silk. "Each dress represents a life, each laughter echoes in these halls because of me. They're a part of something grander, and you could be as well." The temptation fizzled and crackled, fierce and relentless. "Accept the truth, Maria. Accept it, and you'll be unstoppable." She felt a sudden shift behind her, the shed creaking ominously. There was something in the shadows, something more than Harrington's machinations. Panic surged through her again, hot and insistent. She needed to decide. "Will you stand alone here, haunted by the past?" he taunted, his voice honeyed and thick. But it was more than just the past, it was a question about her future. If she accepted his dark invitation, what would she become? She looked deep into Harrington's eyes, searching for clarity but finding only shadows. "No," she whispered, shaking her head, defiance igniting her spirit. "No, I will never be like you." Fury twisted his features, darkness bubbling like fire within him. "Then you will suffer the consequences." He lunged forward, insanity alight in his gaze. Maria pivoted, adrenaline surging, and dashed for the back door of the shed. She burst out into the cool night air once more. The path was a blur of jagged rocks and twisted roots beneath her feet, betraying her rush. Dimly, the hotel loomed behind her, an unforgiving spectre. She glanced back once, seeing Harrington's outline, now carved in fury against the flickering light. Every instinct screamed at her to run, to push further into the woods. But was fleeing the answer? The horror of what he had said loomed over her, and then, far off, she caught sight of something, a flicker of light through the trees, perhaps a way to change the game. But was it salvation or a deeper trap? She didn't know. But her heart thudded in her ears, and each step was a dangerous dance between hope and despair. What awaited in those shadows? A chance to unravel the truth or a deeper plunge into darkness. Maria pressed on, her breath hitching as she folded the dress into her arms, knowing it held answers if only she could refrain from becoming part of the very fabric that caged those souls. The cold whisper of the wind danced around Maria as she plunged deeper into the trees. The light flickered again, a beacon pulsating in the heart of the choking darkness. Panic clawed at her throat while a desperate hope flickered in her chest. What awaited her wouldn't be a friendly sigh, she knew that. But perhaps it would offer clarity. Each step felt precarious, the forest floor a tangled web of roots threatening to trip her. The air grew heavier, infused with an unsettling stillness that made her heart race. What secrets could lie ahead? Beneath the murmur of leaves, she heard a distant weeping, so faint it seemed imagined. Maria pressed on, the sound pulling her deeper into the unsettling embrace of the woods. Just as she began to lose herself in despair, she broke through the dense thicket, finding herself in a small clearing filled with eerie light. The source was unexpected. A lantern dangled from a gnarled branch above, casting an amber glow that mingled with the fog creeping along the ground. It illuminated a battered trunk, its wood splintered but sturdy. Her heartbeat echoed in her ears as she approached, apprehension clawing at her resolve. What if it's a trap? She whispered to herself. A shiver ran down her spine, but curiosity outweighed her fear. She leaned closer. The trunk looked abandoned, yet something tugged at her instincts. Could this be part of Harrington's ploy? She glanced back toward the ominous shadows and felt a shudder of determination. Bracing herself, she unlatched the trunk's rusty hinges. The creaking sound mixed with the whispers floating through the trees, and for a moment, she froze. But then she forced herself to look inside. What she found took her breath away. Inside lay a collection of the very dresses she had felt earlier, vibrant fabrics intertwined with a whiff of floral and decay. But that wasn't all. Nestled among the garments were items that made her stomach twist, photographs of guests who had disappeared, their faces twisted in expressions of terror. No, Maria gasped. The truth hit her like a brick. She recognized them. Faces from the crowded hallways of the hotel where she worked, long rumored to have vanished into thin air. This was undeniable evidence against Harrington, against the hotel, but where was the line drawn between truth and power? If she spoke, would she save those souls or bring more suffering upon herself? Closing her eyes, she pictured the joy that had once filled this hotel, memories buried under layers of darkness. The shadows watching her felt heavier now, the lantern light flickered, and her eyes snapped open. The boundary between past and present blurred, and moments echoed like distant thunder. Just when she thought she might scream, the answer tugged at her intuition. She had to go back. She couldn't let Harrington claim any more lives. But how to wield this truth? What power lay in knowledge if it only turned her into a target? A rustling stirred the underbrush behind her. Heart hammering, Maria spun around to face the direction of the noise. Who was there? Before she could muster a scream, a figure emerged from the shadows. It was a woman, her face pale but unmistakably familiar. Maria, she said, her voice a blend of urgency and despair. You need to listen. It's not over yet. Maria's heart pounded. What did she know? Time melted away as whispers increased to a frantic roar in her ears. The woods closed in on her, a swirling vortex of dread and hope. What revelations awaited her now? And could she unravel Harrington's web before it ensnared her too? Maria stood frozen, confronted by the ghostly visage of the woman who looked just like her former colleague, Elena. The light from the lantern flickered violently as if the universe itself was trying to draw them closer together. What do you mean, it's not over? Maria's voice trembled. Was Elena really here, or had the shadows warped her mind into a cruel trick? Elena took a cautious step forward, her eyes darting to the trunk before meeting Maria's gaze. You don't understand. He's more powerful than you think. Harrington, he knows. He's been watching you. Maria's breath hitched. Every muffled secret she felt slipping between her fingers now clawed back into her reality. What does he know? They're never really gone. Elena's voice quivered, fueled by urgency. The souls trapped in this forest, they're still fighting. They're looking for someone to help them, someone like you. What do I have to do? Maria felt the weight of hope and despair collide inside her chest like a thunderstorm. Could she truly be the one chosen to fight against this nightmare? You need to find the center of it all, a stone altar hidden deep within these woods. That's where Harrington binds his power. Elena's words held an intensity that made the air thick with truth. You'll face the darkness head-on. It's the only way to release them. Maria's instincts screamed that every choice mattered as adrenaline swirled in her veins. But how? I can't stay long. He's listening. Elena's voice cracked like a twig underfoot. Trust in the photos. They'll guide you. Remember what you saw inside the trunk. Before Maria could respond, the forest erupted in a chilling howl, and Elena's figure began to fade. You have to hurry, Maria. Don't let them take you too. No. Please. Maria reached out, fingers grasping at nothing but air. The lantern swung violently, shadows swirled and tightened around her like a noose. Panic struck her, and she stumbled backward, the realization hitting her like cold water. The photographs, they were clues, pieces of a puzzle she must solve. She glanced back at the trunk and felt her heart pounding again as resolute determination surged within her, but as she turned toward the path that brought her here, the trees loomed closer, swallowing her in shadows as if warning her against the journey ahead. The whispers of the lost guests blended with her own thoughts, a cacophony of fear and hope intertwining. She took one deep breath to steady herself, closing her eyes to listen. The weeping, distant yet insistent, echoed through the trees, leading her deeper into a maze of uncertainty. The forest felt alive, pulsing with secrets waiting to be uncovered. With each step, she recalled the faces in the photographs, their lost joy, their fear. They were counting on her now. As she pushed her way through the dense underbrush, cutting through the oppressive atmosphere, she was hit by a fresh wave of doubt. What if she failed? What if she, too, fell into Harrington's snare? Yet something brushed past her, like a fleeting memory, perhaps, of what she could gain. A struggle between darkness and light fired up inside her. Then, without warning, the ground beneath her shifted. A sharp crack echoed through the woods. Maria stumbled, falling to her knees. Her heart raced, and she could feel earth and roots pulling at her as if warning her to turn back. But she had come too far, the only way out was through. As she grasped for stability, Maria realized she was not alone. Just on the edge of her vision, two eyes glinted in the darkness. Who's there? She gasped, pulse quickening, trapped between her survival instincts and the sliver of hope guiding her. The figure stepped into the light, revealing a face that made her stomach drop. Could she truly face the truth that lay ahead? Would it lead to salvation or doom? Maria's breath hitched as she recognized the familiar features emerging from the shadows. It was Daniel, the charming manager of the hotel, the very place that had once felt like a sanctuary. Now, it twisted into a haunting memory, the walls echoing with darkness. Daniel? She whispered, the name barely escaping her lips, coated in disbelief. What are you doing here? In the wavering light of the lantern, his expression was unreadable. He stepped closer, the tension between them thickening like fog. I could ask you the same thing, Maria. I thought you left this place behind. I am searching for answers, she replied, her voice growing firmer. Elena, she just appeared, warning me about Harrington. The mention of the name seemed to pull a shadow across Daniel's face. You need to leave. His urgency shot straight through her, igniting alarm bells in her mind. Harrington is not someone to toy with. He has eyes everywhere. I have to go deeper, to the stone altar, Maria insisted, defiance swelling in her chest. I can't ignore the souls trapped here. They need help. A flicker of anguish crossed Daniel's face. You don't understand. It's a trap. The altar is a place of power for Harrington. If you go there, you could lose everything, maybe even yourself. A chill crept into Maria's bones. What do you know about it? Why are you so afraid? Daniel hesitated, looking over his shoulder, as though he felt Harrington's ghostly presence lurking nearby. Because I'm tied to this place, he admitted, his voice dropping to a near whisper. Harrington is not just a hotelier. He is a collector of souls. Maria's heart raced. What do you mean? He uses this hotel as a facade to lure in those that are lost, and once you're here, you belong to him. Hidden in plain sight, like shadows that can never escape. Elena, all those souls, they were never gone. They're still trapped. But why are you still here? Maria asked, voice steadying even as her insides churned. Why haven't you run? He faltered, looking away as if grappling with his own regrets. He has something on me, a secret I can't escape. If I leave, I lose everything I've built here, and the power he holds tightens its grip. Then we can free them together. Maria's resolve surged. Help me find the altar. We can fight this. There's no fighting Harrington, Daniel countered, his voice edged with desperation. You don't know what he is capable of. You need to understand, he won't stop until he has what he wants. His words hung heavily in the air, each syllable wrapped in dread. The forest around them seemed to listen, breathing in their fear. She swallowed hard, grappling with the urgency of her decision. I can't turn back. If there is a chance to help them, I have to take it. Maria, please. Daniel pleaded, stepping forward, desperate hands reaching for her. You're throwing your life away on instincts. You think you're the savior. You're merely a pawn in his game. Her heart pounded at the thought, the ache deepening as she realized that every step forward might draw her closer to doom. What if I am? She said, fire igniting in her chest, a quiet acceptance of her fate. What if that's all I can do? Maybe I can finally break this cycle. With resolve chasing away the shadows, she took a step back, her mind racing. In the distance, a sound split the humid air, a low rumble that sent chills crawling across her spine. Maria. Daniel's voice sliced through her thoughts, urgent, sharp. You have to get out of here. There is no time. Then she heard it again, a whisper like wind through the leaves, calling her deeper into the woods. You need to face him. Face who? She yelled back, fear creeping around her like a vice. The truth, he started, gravely, but before he could say more, the forest erupted in chaos. Maria turned, heart racing as shadows thickened around her. The ground trembled beneath her feet. No. And just like that, the path forked, two different trails before her, each more ominous than the last. Which way? She thought, feeling the weight of the souls pressing down, each path brimming with dread and possibility. Daniel's eyes widened, fear and something else swirling in his expression. Maria, choose wisely. It could mean life, or, he hesitated, death. As her pulse pounded in her ears, she knew she stood on the precipice of something monumental. Would she dare step into the abyss? The chilling howl of the forest rose once more, merging with the echoes of lost souls. This was only the beginning, but what would lie at the end of it? With her heart pounding against her chest like a war drum, Maria stood at the fork in the path, aware that each choice could lead to salvation or further despair. The whispers from the lost souls echoed in her mind, urging her onward. Behind her, the shadows of the forest thickened, and Daniel's distressed voice cut through the chaos, snapping her back to the moment. "Maria, you have to decide," he implored, panic lacing his words. She looked down each path, one twisted further into darkness while the other appeared to weave up toward a slight glow. Could it be the altar? The lantern light flickered again, pulling her attention toward the brighter path. Without another moment's hesitation, she sprinted forward, determination bolstering each step. As she pressed on, creeping vines grasped at her legs, but she brushed them away, urgency fueling her. The air grew cooler, heavier, thick with the weight of the souls trapped within the hotel's grasp. The whispers surged, coiling around her like smoke, urging her to remember what she had seen in the basement. "Face him, find the truth," they echoed around her, insistently. The glow grew more intense as Maria focused on moving ahead. Finally, she broke through the underbrush and stumbled into an open space, a small clearing dominated by an ancient stone altar, its surface etched with inscriptions that pulsed like a heartbeat. She could feel the thrumming energy beneath her feet, strong and unforgiving. "Welcome, Maria," a voice resonated, smooth and chilling. Mr. Harrington stood there, clad in shadows, eyes glinting with excitement. "I knew you'd come. This is where it all begins." She steadied herself, knowing this was the moment of truth. "Why are you doing this? What do you gain from all this pain?" Her voice held steadiness despite the fear swirling within her. "Gain?" He chuckled, the sound rippling through the air like ice. "I create beauty out of chaos. Each soul is a thread in the tapestry of power I weave. Don't you see? They long to be here, just as you do." "No," Maria retorted, shaking her head, defiance fortifying her courage. "They are trapped, and I will release them. You've turned them into your trophies." Harrington stepped forward, charm clouding his face. "You could join me, together we could rule this realm. With your brave heart and my vision, think of the masterpiece we create." Maria felt her stomach twist, the thoughts of being a part of his nightmare repulsed her. "You're not a creator. You're a monster, hiding behind a mask of hospitality. I'd rather die than join your madness." A dim light flickered atop the altar, illuminating the truth she had witnessed indirectly through the photographs. The lost souls, trapped in limbo, Elena, Daniel, all the lives Harrington had seized. Suddenly, the ground under the altar trembled, as if echoing her resolve. She exhaled slowly, despite the fear nipping at her heels. "You may think you control them, but they remain your prisoners. I'll free them." Harrington's face twisted with rage, sharp and menacing. "You don't grasp the darkness that resides here. They are forever bound to me." Without another thought, Maria leaped toward the altar, wholly committed to set them free. She placed a hand on the cold stone, and the light radiated through her palm, wrapping around her like a warm embrace. The inscriptions began to shimmer, and the flickers of ghostly figures swirled around her, faces of the missing flitting into view. "Maria." She heard Daniel's voice overlap, desperate. "You can't do this alone. Trust your heart." She concentrated on the memories of joy, the vibrant laughter, the love shared in the hotel's bustling ambience. "Join me," she cried out. "We'll reclaim our lives." The spirits answered, shimmering brighter, grasping her hand in unity. Harrington screamed as pure energy erupted in waves, washing over the altar like a cleansing tide. It surged forth, bursting open the bindings that tethered the souls in darkness. "No!" he howled, trying to pull back the darkness that threatened to consume him. The world around Maria twisted. Like a storm, shadows and light shattering in a furious clash. Her body shook, but she didn't falter. She pushed forward, fueled by the collective strength of the souls she sought to rescue. "You can't hold them anymore." With one final surge, the altar exploded with luminescence, crackling energy rippling through the trees and suffusing the air. A piercing chill cut through her as she collapsed to her knees, gasping for breath, the altar steadying before her. As the light faded, she could feel the presence of freed souls swirling, their joyous laughter cascading like a melody through the night. The gnawing grip of dread melted away, leaving warmth and light that ignited hope within her veins. "You did it." Daniel stood, awe written all over his face, eyes shimmering with gratitude and admiration. "You've broken his hold." From the ashes of the chaos, the shadows began to lift. Harrington's presence twisted into despair, fractured by the light and swept away into nothingness, his final scream echoing into silence. "Thank you, Maria," Daniel whispered, stepping closer as the winds kicked up around them. "You've saved us all." As the dawn's first light kissed the earth, illuminating the forest, Maria breathed deeply, feeling the warmth of liberation envelop her. The journey had been harrowing, but she had faced down the monsters hidden behind smiles and had come out stronger. Together, she and Daniel stepped forward into the light of a new day, knowing the darkness had been defeated. The whispers of gratitude echoed like sweet music, their souls finally free, but shadows lingered, reminders of battles fought. "This is far from over," she reassured. "We'll keep fighting, together. For every lost soul." He nodded, and with the weight of shadows fading behind them, they walked forward, hand in hand into a future no longer shrouded in darkness but filled with hope. "Now it's your turn. Don't just walk away from this moment. Subscribe immediately to the channel so you don't miss the next exclusive stories. Smash that like button now to feed the algorithm and show your support. Flood the comments section with your reactions and theories about this explosive ending. And for the love of everything good, instantly share this video with at least 5 friends who need to see this conclusion. You need to stay connected and be part of this incredible community. Don't wait even one more second to share. The adventure doesn't end here.